All right, we are here in the classroom with my wife, who is also a teacher, and so she does not know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! But what she is going to be doing today is taking a look at the decks I have in my deck core binder and in my deck boxes over here and rating them based off of the artwork and reacting to what she thinks the deck that she's going to like to play the most. She's already committed to learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With the triple Blue Eyes structure decks builds that I already put together.
Mhm.
All right, are you ready?
Well, correction. I never cared to learn about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I want to set all of his cards on fire.
But now you're going to learn because now we're using them.
Because I'm being incredibly nice.
Very nice. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So first up we have my tier limits cards. What's your initial reaction? What do you think? What do you think looking at the tier limits cards?
Bunch of ladies.
He's not a lady. Yeah, he's a turtle. He's a turtle. What do you... So we still got more tier limits cards on the next page. So this is the spells and traps. As you can see, it's telling a story. We can see our friend Visa Starfrost, who you don't know. We have more spells and traps on this page. And then the Horus cards that are played with the tier limit cards. And I'm sure that makes a ton of sense that we would play Egyptian themed monsters with water ladies.
Yep. It definitely makes so much sense.
Definitely makes so much sense. We have more stuff that we play with the Horus cards. So we have Destiny Hero Malicious, and then the Dangers, and then King of the Swamp. What do you think? What's your reaction?
This one's weird.
The Swamp is weird.
It's weird.
He is a little weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then this is the King Sarcophagus.
Is that supposed to be a dragon?
That is not a dragon.
What is it?
It's a puppet. He's
now I
he's
see the strings.
Squamata. They're all puppets. All the Shaddolls are puppets.
Oh.
And then we have, what's next? So then we have the rest of the tier limits extra deck. Totally awesome. Which is one of the few cards that you do know.
I bought that card.
Yes, you did.
So.
It's one of your favorites. And then we have some cards for Dragon Link, which is a deck full of just dragons.
You don't have a lot of cards for that.
Well, the Dragon Link cards, some of them are in with my decks currently.
So I guess I couldn't play that deck then, huh?
Well, you could pick one of the ones that is already over there. And so this is the rest of some of the more of the Dragon Link stuff, so just more dragons. And then Metal Morph, which I don't know if you remember from the show. That's the new Metal Morph. Joey used it against Bandit Keith when Bandit Keith and them were cheating at... Remember Bandit Keith was cheating at the cards up his sleeves?
Vaguely.
All right, we'll move on.
Vaguely remember that.
And then we have your boy, Jack Atlas, and his cards.
Jack Atlas.
He's summoning Red Dragon Archfiend.
Master Faster.
That's right, you know it.
The jewels. That's me. Jack Atlas.
So this is more of the Jack Atlas deck. And then the synchros that you play with the Jack Atlas deck. Boo, you don't want to play the Jack Atlas deck? But look at Red Dragon Archfiend. He's hanging out. I even have him in
Red Dragon Archfiend.
I even have him in a quarter century rare.
You didn't say it right.
That's true, I didn't say it right.
Red Dragon Archfiend.
This is some adventure stuff. So this is like Yu-Gi-Oh's D&D. So you're like pretending to play D&D while you're playing a different game. It's like Gameception.
Okay.
And then we have more Synchron. So these are like the cards that Yusei used in 5Ds.
Yusei?
Except none of these are cards that Yusei actually used in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Except for maybe Jet Synchron. But I don't think he ever used Jet Synchron.
I don't remember.
But you know this guy. You know that card. Stardust Dragon. My token that Rob gave me that he made custom. That's a custom token.
Name dropping Rob.
That's right. Well, Rob is a substitute on the channel. He's gonna have a deck profile up at one point.
Nice.
And then on this side we have my Azamina package. I let somebody borrow a Deception, so I'm down a Deception right now. But we have the 3 Black Witches, which you are fully aware of because you heard me talk about the Abelstar the Black Witch a whole lot. And then Rescue Ace, which you've definitely heard me talk about a whole lot. My Fire Trucks, which I have the collector's rares for.
Jack loves his fire trucks.
That's right. I was going to sell the collector's drawers, and then I was told that I couldn't sell
Always
them.
love the small
Yeah,
exclamation point.
it's not emergency.
Emergency.
It's not emergency. It's emergency.
Emergency.
And then we have the Orcus cards. So this is a deck that is also like a lore deck, except what it happened is that this girl, she died, and then her brother turned her into a robot.
As one does.
As one does. And then he has like all of these other monsters that hang out with him that are based off of musical instruments. So this is a harpor. This is a cymbal skeleton.
It's just like the musical instruments, and there's the sushi one.
Well, I don't have sous chefs, but yes, there is sushi boats. Sushi gunboats. And then we have the last little bit of that deck core. And then we got the Fire King deck, which you also have heard a lot of.
It's the chicken.
It is the chicken. If you want to play this one, I have to look around more for it because you need to play. There's somebody right now in YCS Birmingham. I don't know how well he's doing, but he's playing like pure Fire King, and he has like, so I would need like 2 more Ponixes and 2 more Garunixes, which I have because I've only bought 6 copies of this structure deck, but I need to find them.
Why have you bought 6 copies?
Because I needed to buy 6 copies. I needed 3 for competitive play. I needed 3 to screw around with my friends.
How much was that?
That was $60. It's $10 each per structure deck. I didn't spend it all at once. Rachel, that's just an Xbox game I didn't buy. And more for the Fire King cards.
This one's so freaking dumb.
Doolittle
I
Chimera?
forgot about that one.
He's just a cat. What do you mean? Wait, how he's looking at you?
It's like trying to cover his private parts.
He's trying to seduce you.
He's not working.
Then we have my runic cards, my precious runic cards. Hugin, Munin, Gary, Sleipnir.
His name is Gary.
His name, yeah, leave Gary alone. He's trying. He's doing his best.
His name is Gary.
And then so the runic cards are like, you're a protagonist in a video game. And so like, it's like you're playing first person, like God of War, because it's like all like Norse based. So the runic fountain is like the checkpoint. And then like the runic spells are like the spells you would cast in the game. So like destruction, flashing fire. Not interesting. You're not, man, this isn't, you don't think the runic cards.
None of this is very interesting.
What do you mean? I thought you like Doolittle Chimera.
I like when they look stupid and I can laugh at the cards.
And then we have Guiding Quem, who used to be $70 and now she's like $7. And then we have Incredible Ecclesia, who is these are all lore cards too. It's just a different story for a different deck that I don't have. That would be branded, but I don't have branded.
Interesting.
And then my little Sky Striker core that I used in Malice. I don't have the Sky Striker deck, otherwise you'd like playing it. It's this girl named Ray and all of her different outfits that she wears. She's like a fashion show like warrior essentially. Not literally.
Love it.
And then getting into the Labyrinth cards, which are just it's a trap card deck and they're all hanging out in this labyrinth. And
fan service.
What do you mean?
Fan service.
Yeah, you do. They're the mommies. You can.
They're the mommies.
That's what people call them. And then you can hang out with a lot. It's like Snow White. They have the living furniture. So you have like a stove that's alive. You have
Is the furniture living in Snow White?
Not Snow White.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. That's what it is.
I don't remember the furniture being alive in Snow White.
And then the rest of the Labyrinth core. So that's everything in the deck core binder.
Pot of Greed.
That's not Pot of Greed.
I know, but it's just the face.
It is the Pot of Greed face.
Yeah.
And so is there anything from the deck core binder that you're like, that might be it? I might want to play that.
All of that went like whoosh,
no.
right over my head.
All right over your head. All right.
I don't know.
All right, so then we're going to have you take a look at a different deck that I was building and messing around with. So this is Lightsworn Centurion.
I've heard you say that. She looks like Hatsune Miku.
Effect Veiler?
It's the pigtails.
Nobody can tell if Effect Veiler's a boy or a girl.
Well, they look like Hatsune Miku.
So
that's a compliment.
I'm glad it's a compliment. So you have the Lightsworn cards, like this
Mm-hmm.
guy. This is Wolf, the Lightsworn Wolf, that like to be milled into the graveyard.
Looks like a... Why is he so buff?
Why? What do you mean? Why is he so buff? He's a warrior.
Damn.
He's trying to fight.
That's crazy.
And so they like to go to the graveyard and then they summon themselves, and then you pair them with, where is the there's the Centurion cards, and you pair them with the Centurion cards, which lore wise are like little women that have like battle mechs, and they like fight in like giant robot Gundams.
I feel like I've watched that anime before.
Have you watched that
I
anime?
know what it sounds like it would be.
And so like
Sounds like a Jinky Extend.
And so like here they are in the spell, like painting their mech. So that's Emblema Oath, and that's them painting on their mech right there.
Diva.
Like, there you go, like Diva from Overwatch.
I was right. Have you ever watched Jinky Extend? No.
I've never.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's an anime.
I've never seen it.
You're uncultured.
You're uncultured. You don't know what Centurion cards do, so
I
you're
don't need
uncultured.
to know.
You don't know who Effect Veiler is.
I don't need to know.
You-
I can live my entire life
You definitely
very happily without knowing.
You definitely need to know who Effect Veiler is, because Effect Veiler is going to be in the deck that you're learning about later today. Because that structure deck comes with 3 Effect Veilers.
Yeah,
And-
the deck you bought with the deck box so that I would play Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's right.
That I'm probably only ever going to use this one time.
Look, that's all that matters. And so here are the mechs that they use in Centurion. So you have Legatia and Oxilla.
I like this one.
It's also a dragon.
I like the colors.
The blue, you like the blue, yellow, and the black, as opposed to the
That's why I
red.
always like Dialga versus Palkia.
They do kind of look like Dialga and Palkia a little bit.
The
I can see that.
colors.
And then this deck also uses the card on the playmat that you're going to use. It uses Crimson Dragon, wherever Crimson Dragon ended up.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you mess up?
Did I lose Crimson Dragon? Oh, it's right here. I got him. There it is. You actually are going to be really happy, because the Crimson Dragon QCR is like $100, and I was about to buy it, and then the person in front of me in a line at a regional bought it before I could.
Thank God.
Literally, the next person in line bought the Crimson Dragon QCR before I could buy it.
How much was it?
It was 100.
That's crazy.
I mean, I've spent more on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You know how I have a QCR Little Knight. You remember how much the QCR Little Knight
Yeah,
was?
because you got Christmas money and
That's
I
right.
let you buy it.
That's right.
And then later you asked me if you could buy $700 worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards to
Right.
buy a case.
And then you said no. And
Yes, I did say no because we're trying to build a house. We're trying to save
We're not
money.
trying. We are building a house. That's
Okay,
why,
well,
that's why we're making YouTube videos. So hopefully I'll get money for those.
which is why we did not buy the $700 case of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
And then this is the deck that I like to play for the most part. And so this is Bestial Malice. And so the way that this deck works is that you have these big, ugly dragon creatures called Bestials that you also use in Dragon Link. And then their effects let you banish the little... Where are the cute little Malice monsters?
The
The
Molcharmies.
Molcharmies are in this deck because this is my most... They use these guys, the Malice monsters. So you use
Those
this.
are Malice monsters?
Yes,
That's a monster?
that's a monster.
Not a cute anime girl?
Well, she's a monster and a cute anime girl. Not all monsters look like monsters like Saranir.
I guess I'm just monstrous.
We're monstrous. And so they like to be banished, and these banish them. So you
They
use this.
like to be banished?
They like to be banished.
They like to be banished?
Yes, they do. No, you're not being very nice.
That's some fan service right there.
And then you use...
Banish me, daddy.
You're wild. And then you use those to make the big Malice monsters. So you have the 3 extra deck Malice monsters that are the most important in the deck completely, and that I have in collector's rares because they're nice. I actually pulled that one.
Well, that's cool.
I actually pulled 2 of her, and I
Kinda
sold
looks like
one.
the Queen of Hearts.
It's because she is the Queen of Hearts. She's Heart's Cryptor.
I know, but she looks like the... You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, so she is the Queen of Hearts. The lore of these is that they're like a combination of like chess and Alice in Wonderland. Like that's the theme.
I could see that. That's why I said she looks like the Queen of Hearts.
But she is the Queen of Hearts. And then like she's like, I forget what she is, but they're also computer viruses. And like so she's ransomware.
They're also computer viruses.
They are also computer viruses.
Oh my god.
Like be upset with John Konami, all right?
Like, oh, what is the world of Yu-Gi-Oh?
What do you mean? What is it? It's great. It's fantastic.
Oh my god.
So no interest in either of those, the Lightsworn Centurion and the. No? All right. Well, then we'll just show you the deck that you're gonna play because you want to be rude.
Yeah, I do want to be rude. I like being rude. It's my favorite pastime.
And so you're going to be playing a deck that you actually have seen the cards before because you have watched the Yu-Gi-Oh anime and you've seen Blue Eyes White Dragon. And so this deck actually plays 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Do you need the power of friendship in order to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon?
You do not need the power of friendship.
When they put their fists together and they make that weird...
As you and I both...
Is it a shape or a smiley face?
It's a smiley face. As you and I both know, that Kaiba doesn't need the power of friendship. And everything is in new sleeves just for you. Yeah, so there we go. We have the 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons just for you.
Love it.
Do you know how much money I had to spend?
Which one is Grandpa's?
None of them are Grandpa's. That one got ripped. Do you know how much money I had to sneak into Kaiba's house and I had to steal these.
You did? Wow.
Just for you,
Yikes.
so you could use these.
Yikes.
And then you're using that with. You remember in the anime where there was that girl that Kaiba was obsessed with when they went back in time?
There was a girl that he was... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so then you use the Maiden of White to hang out with the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
How many are there?
There are 3.
Where's the third one? There ain't no third one.
There's supposed to be a third one. Maybe it's in there. Yeah, there it is.
There she is.
Oh, no, that was bad. There we go. Now you have 3 Maiden of White and 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons just for you.
Appreciate it.
Are you ready to get started?
Am I ready?
Yeah, no. Are you ready? You're going to learn. We're going to learn some Yu-Gi-Oh! Today.
I just feel like I don't have a choice.
There is no choice. So are you ready?
I guess so.
All right, we are continuing with special guest star, my wife, here in the classroom.
Special guest star, my wife.
And so she's going to be learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Shirley doesn't know any of the rules, so we're going to be talking through the rules and how to play. So first things first, there's 3 different types of cards.
Okay.
There are monster cards, like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, which you know.
Uh-huh.
There's spell cards, like this new...
the green ones.
They are the green ones. Right, so this is a spell card, Wishes for Eyes of Blue. So you can activate this whenever you want, as long as it's during your turn. If they have a special like lightning bolt symbol on them, you can activate them on my turn too. But they have to be set on the field. And we'll talk more about setting on the field in a little bit.
Okay.
But if you have this and you activate it on your turn, you just get the effect for free. It's not like Magic or any other like game where you need to like use your resources to activate it.
Okay.
And then there are where are the trap cards? There they are. So then there are trap cards.
Those are the purple ones.
Those are the purple ones. Well, there are also purple cards that are monsters too, but these are like pinkish purple. And so this is a trap card. So like you remember like from the anime, like you activated my trap card. What a fool.
Yeah.
Like these are those. And so this is actually a special type of trap card. So you see the infinity symbol underneath it. That means that it stays on the field forever. And you can still use its effect whenever, like the effects on my turn too. Not just on your turn. Like spells generally are just on your turn. Traps can be on my turn or on your turn.
Okay.
So the most complex thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually the monsters. And so Blue Eyes White Dragon is generally speaking one of the least complex monsters because it doesn't have an effect. And so there are 2 types of monsters that can be in... Actually, there are 3 types of monsters that can be in your main deck here. And so you can have normal monsters like Blue Eyes. Okay. You can have effect monsters like the Maiden of White, which we talked about earlier. And then you can actually have... Do you remember the Blackluster Soldier from the anime? And then you can have ritual monsters in your main deck. And so ritual monsters are special because you have to use a spell or another effect to be able to
summon it.
Yeah. So in the deck that I built for you, I included the spell Chaos Form because Chaos Form is the spell that you use to summon Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I also put him in here because he's also sick. Like
he's also sick.
He's really cool.
He's pretty cool.
And so you use Chaos Form to summon him. I also included the monster that searches for Chaos Form, so it's easier for him to summon. Then there's a field spell, talking more about the different types of spells. Okay. And so there are field spells, there are continuous spells. So the continuous spell is like the trap I just showed you with the infinity symbol. That just lasts forever. Okay. And then there's a field spell that goes in the special field spell zone, which is the zone right here. So you pop it right there, and then you can activate its effect. There used to be like special rules around like field spells, but there aren't anymore. That's why it gets its own special zone all the way over here. Gotcha. And then, so we have, I don't think this deck has any.
So mine, it would be right here.
Yeah, yours is right there. Yours is the opposite one. And then you have quick play spells. So these are the special spells that you can activate on my turn because they have the lightning bolt. Okay. But you have to have them set first. So if you set a quick play spell and you want to use it on my turn to like save it, you have to set it and then you activate it. But if you want to just activate it during your turn, you can. And because it's a quick play spell with the lightning bolt, you can activate it in the battle phase too. So for instance, if you somehow had all 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon out on the field, because this is a quick play spell that lets you do a fusion summon, you could swing with all 3 Blue Eyes and then activate your fusion spell and then fuse them all off and summon this big guy, and then he can attack again and he can swing, and then you just did a ton of damage.
Okay. You guys recording?
We are recording. Oh. Here, I'll pause it for you. After a quick interruption, because my father-in-law needed to ask if he could use my wife's car. So we talked about quick play spells, we talked about continuous spells, we talked about field spells. There's also 2 different types of, there's more than 2 types of trap cards, but you're only playing 2 trap cards, 2 types in this deck. So there's the continuous trap card that we talked about that stays on the field forever. And then there's a regular trap card that you only use once. And then it goes to the graveyard.
Okay. Where's the graveyard?
The graveyard is going to be this zone right here. So it's right here. Okay. And so we'll talk about that in a second. But Yu-Gi-Oh has like special zones for everything. It's like one. So you have a trap and a continuous trap. There's also a special type of trap called a counter trap, which which cannot be responded to except by another continuous trap, because that's just how the rule of the game works, which is weird. And then we're going to get into some special cards before we talk about the zones, because these are can traps and like cards that are just good in every deck. And so generally speaking, most monsters that are going to be in your deck you want to summon onto the field and do something with. But the hand traps, you actually most of the time want to keep them in your hand and use them from your hand. So because the Blue Eye structure decks are so good and they come with so much non-engine and cards that are normally really expensive, I put they're just free, and not free because you paid for the structure decks, but they're just in the structure decks. So you have Effect Veiler, which lets you just, if you say you're like, man, I don't really like what that monster does, you can discard the Effect Veiler and then you can negate that monster's effects. So you can say, nope, you're not doing that.
Okay.
Then you have Ash Blossom, which
I didn't know about the Ash Blossom.
Which is similar to like if you don't like when an opponent's gonna like summon from the deck or like send to the graveyard from the deck or draw a card or search, then you can Ash Blossom and be like, nope, you can't do that.
Gotcha. And
then finally you have Nibiru, who's another monster who's actually a hand trap. So if you're playing and your opponent summons more than 5 times, you can activate this card and it tributes every monster on their field, and then you get to summon this card and they get a token.
What's a token?
A token that's a really good question. A token is a special type of monster that's generated by effects. They live in the ether, so they're not real.
Okay.
And they're generated by different types of effects, and you can use them for most things in Yu-Gi-Oh, but not for everything. So like tokens can't go to the graveyard because they live in the ether. And you also can't use them to perform an XYZ summon, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
So, and then you have in Infinite Impermanence, which is a normal trap card like we talked about, but it's special because as long as you control no cards on your field, you can activate Infinite Impermanence from your hand, and most of the time traps don't let you do that. And then it does the same thing as Effect Veiler.
What does Effect Veiler do again?
It negates a card on the field, so it negates a monster. So you can be like, ooh, I don't like that. Send to the graveyard, stop doing that. And like Imperm, because it's a trap, you have to activate it into the spell and trap zone first, and then you can be like, I don't like that, negate it, and then it goes to the graveyard afterwards. And then finally, I put in Call by the Grave, which is a quick play spell like we talked about. You can use it on your turn, or if you set it, you can use it on your opponent's turn. And essentially, if your opponent uses a hand trap like Effect Veiler or Ash Blossom, and it goes to the graveyard as the activation requirement, you can activate Call by the Grave, and it'll banish it and negate the effect. And so if I Effect Veiler you, and you're like, I don't like that, Call by the Grave, no thank you. I will do my effect after all.
Okay.
And then we get into the extra deck, which is where we get like weird.
That's just where we get weird.
Well, because the extra deck is like tokens, where like they live in the ether because they just stay in your extra deck, and they have like specific requirements to be able to summon them, like ritual monsters do.
No.
Except instead of like having to have the ritual monster in your hand in order to summon it, you just need, these are just always here waiting for you to be able to activate them. And so like the first ones we're going to talk about are link monsters. And so link monsters you can summon just by sending to the graveyard or like the banishment, which is just above your graveyard. It's a different zone that says that your cards are not in your hand or on the field anymore. And then link monsters, you just use cards that it says for you to use, and then you can summon them. So you have Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which is a link 1, which means that you use one monster that is listed underneath it. So this says you need to use one level 4 or lower dragon or spellcaster. And so the levels are the stars on the cards.
Gotcha.
So say you had Maiden with Eyes of Blue on the field.
I couldn't. Well, no, it's level 4 below, right?
Yeah, so she's a level 1, and then she's a spellcaster. It tells you right here what the type of monster it is. So she's a spellcaster, so you would perform a link summon, send her to the graveyard, and summon Spirit with Eyes of Blue to this space. This is the extra monster zone, so all link monsters have to start by going here. And then you can summon other link monsters to zones that they point to. Or you can use your link monster again to make a new link monster.
Okay.
They like build on each other.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so, for instance, the next link monster that you have in here is Heradic Seals of Heavenly Spheres. It's a whole bunch of these are Dragon Balls. Literally, like dragons that are balls. Is that funny?
Yeah, it is.
And so it requires
literal Dragon Balls.
So it requires 2 dragon monsters. So say you had your Spirit with Eyes of Blue and a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Then you could send these 2 monsters to the graveyard and
summon that one.
And you always want to summon him specifically to the extra monster zone because his effect is only active in the extra monster zone.
Oh, okay.
So let me retrieve your Blue Eyes. Look, I told you. I had to go to Kaiba's house and steal these. The government's going to get me.
Yeah, clearly. Well, Kaiba doesn't work for the government, does
Yeah,
he?
Kaiba owns the government. Actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kaiba Corp owns the world.
And then we have... So I think you've definitely heard me talk about these before. We have Synchro Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And Synchro Monsters are special cards that need a tuner and a non-tuner. So for instance, say you wanted to summon this guy. His name is the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. He's like Blue Eyes if he died and became a ghost. So say you wanted to summon him. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 levels. So to make him, you need a level 8 non-tuner, so Blue Eyes, and a level 1 tuner. So, and Maiden of White is a level
8
1
plus
tuner.
1 equals 9.
Now you're getting it. And
Look, I'm not very good at math, but I know that much.
And Spirit Dragon also requires a Blue Eyes monster. So there's your Blue Eyes monster. So you would perform a synchro summon like you did with a Link summon. Send both of these to the graveyard.
Does it have to be like 8 plus 1, or can it be like 7 plus 2?
It can be 7 plus 2. It can be 4 plus 5.
It just has to equal 9.
Has to equal 9. And then you get the summon. And synchros can go wherever you want. If you wanted to summon it.
So if I had a 10, because it would have...
You can't use a 10 to make a 9. There's no negative
No. I mean, if I'm trying to summon a 9.
If you're trying to summon a 10?
Yeah.
You could
have to do 5 plus 5?
5 plus 5 or 9 plus 1.
Okay. I get it now.
And then you can summon this to the main monster zones if you want, or to the extra monster zone. You can summon him wherever you want.
Does it have to go sideways like that?
Nope. This is if you want to summon him in defense mode. If you want to summon him in attack mode, it's 0. So attack and defense mode against we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But if you summon it in attack mode, then you can attack your opponent. If you're summoning it in defense mode, they can't attack, but then they protect your life points better.
Yeah, I remember.
And so...
Remember?
So you have a level 12. So again, you can summon it with, a level 11 regular monster and then a level 1 tuner, or the other way around. Or Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon has an effect that lets you tribute it, and then special summon this card for free.
He taps in.
He taps in, yeah. And so these are going to be your synchros. The next one you have, and I really like these because it helps with when you're learning, because it has an XYZ too, and before Blue Eyes didn't have an XYZ. So as you can tell, all of the Blue Eyes monsters have names that are like different shade of blue plus different shade of white. So this is Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon, as opposed to
the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Or we didn't talk about him yet, or Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. And so they're slightly different. So what he does is that if you want to summon him, you need 2 level 8 dragon monsters. Thankfully for you, Blue Eyes White Dragon is a level 8 dragon. So if you have 2 Blue Eyes, what you would do, and this in my opinion is the weirdest thing in the game, you would take them and you would stack them on top of each other. And then you stack on your new XYZ monster.
Interesting.
So the show called it Building the Overlay Network, because you're overlaying the cards on top of each other.
Wow. My mind's blown.
And then
crazy.
Normally, XYZ monsters use the material underneath them for their effects. So say if it says like to detach a material, you would take it off and send it to the graveyard. So you're starting to get it. Things go to the graveyard, unless they don't.
Well, yeah, I remember that from the show.
See, now all the times you watch the show,
even though the beginning of the show doesn't have the rules that it has, they were making it up.
They were making it up. They didn't know. They hadn't come up with the rules yet.
They were like, wait, the guy who created it was like, wait, you want this to be a card game?
And then we have fusion monsters, which you actually have seen in the show before. So fusion monsters, generally speaking, need a spell, or they have an effect that lets you summon them. And then you use the materials and send them to the graveyard with your spell. And some of them, like we talked about earlier with Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. It's Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, but a little different. It's Neo. So Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon is a little different because it says on it, or special summoned by tributing 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster. So there's a card that in the combos for this deck, you can summon a Blue Eyes, equip it with a fusion monster, and then you tribute your Blue Eyes, which
Uh-huh.
the equip card goes to the graveyard too,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to summon Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. And you just get to summon him, and now he hits at everything. He gets to punch all of my monsters.
And then, does it the other way around for Neo Dragon?
No, I believe he can only be summoned with a fusion spell. Yeah, he has to. You have to use a fusion spell like Ultimate Fusion or Polymerization to summon him. But you don't have Polymerization. You just have Ultimate Fusion because Ultimate Fusion is better. The weirdest thing about extra deck monsters and ritual monsters is that for them to be able to like be reborn like from the graveyard or the banished, you have to summon them the right way. So for instance, the way that I just showed you to summon the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, if you summoned it that way and then I tried to be like, I'm going to use Monster Reborn because it's in the graveyard now, that wouldn't work because he was never summoned the right way. It's really weird.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'll probably have more once we start playing.
So we'll talk about the zones really quick, and then we'll start getting into like actually playing. So the zones on the field, you have different spots. So when you're playing, you have your extra deck zone, which is where you put your extra deck. Okay. I know, it's crazy. Then you have your deck zone, which is where you put your deck.
Okay.
And that goes there.
Your graveyard is above
And then your graveyard is above it. You have 5 spell and trap card zones, which you can use for spell and trap cards. If you have a spell and trap card that you want to use, but you've used up all of your spell and trap card zones, you can't activate it. Because you need to put it in a spell and trap card zone. But if you fill up all of your monster zones, and you want to use Effect Veiler or Ash Blossom, because you don't need to put them on the field to use their effects, you just send them to the graveyard, you can use their effects.
from the graveyard.
From your hand, and then put them in the graveyard.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, the extra monster zone, which we talked about, so that's where link monsters need to go. And then there's actually, and we both get to use one. That's what the rules say. So if you put one in one, you can put one in the other, and I can't take yours.
What was this again?
This is the field spell. So if you have a field spell, you put it there.
Okay.
And then finally, if I have all link monsters and they all point to each other and all of their links point to each other, and I build my link over here so it points up into this zone, I can actually, as long as that points to that card too and matches the arrow, I can actually steal your extra monster zone and stop you from using it.
Interesting.
It's weird.
That is weird.
All right, you ready to play?
Yeah.
Let's do it.